My name is Nikidrea Rey. I graduated in 2020 with a Master of Arts in Russian, East European and Eurasian Studies from the University of Texas at Austin. And I'm currently working as a country director for Finland and Sweden in the Office of the Secretary of the Air Force for International Affairs. I started out as a foreign disclosure specialist, and foreign disclosure is essentially our way of sharing sensitive classified information, classified military information with foreign governments or international organizations. So my job was basically implementing policy and making sure that people were aligned with policy and within the regulations of the Arms Export Control Act. And it's a really important role when you're thinking about international engagements, because everything that includes some amount of classified information has to be supported by policy. And as a country director today, this is really important. My office now is basically the entry point for anyone who wants to carry out military to military engagements as it relates to air forces or space forces. And so I know when I see a request and it has a specific platform or system in it, I go straight to the disclosure office to make sure that we are not in violation of anything. Interesting project that I've worked on recently. In the past few weeks, I've actually been preparing to host a senior leader engagement at the Pentagon, and it's been really wonderful just getting together the team, just seeing this cross-functional effort to prepare all of these materials and set everything up for what would shape the engagement, basically. I really enjoyed that, just seeing how folks come together, push forward their best products, and really try to tie things together for senior leaders to have really hard conversations about security cooperation and the direction that we're going in as allied and partner forces. I would say that there was a specific piece of advice that I could point out, but I know that while I was at CREASE, or the Center for Russian, East European and Eurasian Studies, while I was there, I learned a really interesting mentality that I think is valuable. And that is that norms are not universal laws. And I'm not saying that to like over glorify anything. I can point to a specific example. When I was just admitted into the school, I just accepted enrollment, and I reached out to Agnes, who's really wonderful. I reached out to her and I just asked her for support trying to find funding, because I was offered an internship at the US Embassy in Moscow, and I didn't want to miss that opportunity at all. And before she'd even met me, we had a few conversations on the phone when I was asking questions about putting together my application. But just through those small engagements, I was able to get in touch with people at the Clements Center who funded my trip. And it was a really wonderful opportunity that I think really shaped my ability to find a career after. I think that this might be something that will be valuable to other people too, is reaching out not just to professionals in the field, but also to the human resources managers. Some of the most successful people that I've been seeing show up to my office these days are the ones that actually reach out to the people that do the hiring so that they know what specifically someone is looking for. No one can promise you a position, of course, but they can let you know how to best prepare yourself to compete. And it's not just talking to professionals who've worked in the field. They can only tell you about what they do as experts in that field. They can't tell you what it's like to come into that field with today's standards, today's level of competition, and the types of different candidates that might be out there. That's a big question. Well, in the next few months, I have a lot of travel coming up. I have a lot of travel planning for senior leaders coming up. And so I'm going to be a bit busy over the next few months. And then I was actually recently admitted for enrollment at Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies. And so I plan on focusing a lot on security cooperation there. I know that when leaders talk about it, especially when we're talking about failures, we have conversations that specifically focus on leadership and how leadership is not implementing properly. But I would really like to look at it from a grassroots level and kind of develop a micro perspective and see who would be the implementers, the executors, and folks on the ground. Just based on my experience in Afghanistan, working with Afghan national security forces, and then, at the Pentagon now today, just kind of seeing the difference in the way that people interpret what success looks like with security cooperation. And so I really want to hone in on that. And in the future, develop a framework through a dissertation that is useful to DoD when thinking about assessing partners for the best cooperation activities that help us to achieve our national security objectives. I would say that it's valuable to continue with internships and other work opportunities. Just as I said before, it's really important to distinguish yourself as a person, not even just veterans, but students in general, just showing that you have the capacity to work in professional spaces. The Army, or not the Army, but the military in general, puts people in abnormal situations. And you can, based on that, understand that people are committed to specific types of work, and they are team players. But that doesn't really speak to your capacity to do things in an intellectual level in a business environment. And I think that those are really important.